welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to see everybody. Get this a little more centered. It's a little bit more centered. There we go. Great to see everybody. How's it going? I'm Jesse. I'm your tea guy. I am here back in Los Angeles after a lot of travel. Great to be able to hang out with everybody and have tea. Welcome, welcome everybody. Kool-Aid says, shout out T-Man. Thanks so much. How's it going, everybody? You guys joined right as we started. So if you got time to make tea, you know, this is your invitation to come and take all your tea stuff and to really, you know, have a little bit of a break from whatever you're doing. Matt White Engineering asked, what are we drinking today? Great question. I'm going to be trying some of this red tea that I was given as a gift from one of the tea suppliers that I met on this last trip to China. I love the art on this. Isn't that really nice? Golden dragonfly. The name of this tea, they call it Bi Xia, which Bi is jade. Xia is the type of red found on the underside of the clouds during the sunset, which is a character that is basically only appears in like people's names and stuff like that, but pretty cool. And I like how they did this packaging as well. It's like a bunch of small bags in there. So very high-end red tea, good for tea time. How's everybody asking? We have a question over here on TikTok is asking, people are asking how did the talk at Congress go? I thought I did pretty well. I mean, Congress was crazy. Congress is always crazy. I prepared just in case they would have all of these like really anti-China questions. I did all this prep on how to be able to answer all this, like, are you a member of the Communist Party? I'm like, nah man, I'm not. But they were actually very respectful in terms of the China stuff and stuck to small business, which is what they were. So for people who don't know, about a week ago I was in front of Congress testifying in front of the House Small Business Committee to talk about the challenges faced by different, by creators, small businesses, to be able to go out there and share some of the information that you guys have probably already heard about, the challenges we're facing with the tariffs, with TikTok potentially being banned, all of these sorts of things. So it was great to be able to share, but I'm also glad to be out of DC. You can take a look at the very fine tea leaves over here. Very small, very fine. I believe these are all, actually that looks like a leaf. There's leaves and buds here, but you can see a fair bit of the really nice golden hairs, the hull, which gets shown off for the good ones, the good teas. Excellent. It's somebody says Zhengshan Xiaozhong. It's not Zhengshan. It's not Xiaozhong. What do they say? Xiaozhong Hongcha. It's a, yeah, I mean, I guess you could call it that. It's not Zhengshan Xiaozhong. It's its own red tea style. So cheers, everybody. And for the pot, I'm using Dui Dui's apple pot. If any of you have seen me use this one before, I really like this pot. Very sweet scent coming out of that. Very, very nice. And Dui Dui's pitcher as well, and Dui Dui's cups. We're doing an all Dui Dui tea situation here today. And we have a little bit too lucky in the bowl over there. So, cheers everybody. Pop, 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 pop. Cheers. I'll happy to answer any questions you guys have about tea, about other stuff. People saying thank you for your work. Thank you guys. You guys are excellent. Question over here says, 早上好. 看像毛尖茶. So it looks a little bit like 毛尖 tea. It looks a little like a red 毛尖. But the 毛尖 has more hair on it. It's really, really hairy compared to this one. So very, very cool. Yvonne Fullifer says, tea encompasses the spiritual, cultural, and aesthetic values embedded in tea culture. Respect with the experience of preparing the tea. Very well said. I'm not sure if that was in response to something I missed, but that's very well said. Questions over here. Brian is asking, what is my favorite tea? It's hard to say, man. I mean, there's so many good teas. I think I like being able to wake up every day and have a little bit of a different one. Well, let me get you guys a little bit more centered. There we go. Awesome. I just wake up every day and I look at the collection and I'm like, what do I want to drink today? And I roll with that. So, very, very good. Questions over here. Dean Brewer said, you showed a pic of a red tea you had from Bingdaoshan when you were in China. Do you think you'll ever sell it? I want to. We're working with Dweidui to get the papers to be able to export it. Right now we're trying to expand to the EU and UK. The EU is basically already fully open. We have a lot of teas there, the green teas, the subscription teas, all our Taiwanese teas, all our equipment, it's all available down in the EU. All of our subscription back orders have been sent to our EU customers. All our green tea pre-orders have been sent to our green tea EU customers. UK we're still waiting on, but basically those two markets need special papers. And if I'm going to buy it, I know that people will want it in those markets too. So we're going to see if we can get the papers to send it everywhere. If I can't get the papers, I just can't do it. I probably will just have it on the US store and the Canada store because it is really good. But I need to also see what he's charging for it and how much we can afford to buy. So cash is a little bit tight going into the holiday season because we had to buy all our holiday stuff and we had a bad summer because of the trade war. So hopefully if we do well in this holiday season, we'll have plenty of cash on hand and we'll be able to go and buy all sorts of new teas and do all the packaging design and all that stuff that goes into the preparation for getting new teas up. So cheers. Questions over here. You did great on the hearing session, Jesse. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I wasn't sure if anyone would wind up watching that, but the videos of my testimony in Congress got a lot more views than I thought they would, and we have two kind of main routes to try to actually succeed at accomplishing something from that trip to Congress. The first potential thing is they might do some sort of exemption on small businesses for the tariffs. They have a bill like that in the Senate, though not in the House. And then the other possibility is that we would have I know that there is a bill right now that would be exempting coffee from the tariffs. And so if there is a chance to add tea onto that bill, I'm going to see if I can get it on. But this is a $0 lobbying effort on behalf of my industry. And I don't like the idea that like law is dependent on having to be able to lobby your way in like that. It's not the greatest thing, but we'll give it a try. Today, though, I don't want to talk about politics. I just want to enjoy the tea. Questions over here. How much have sales dropped off for small sellers as a result of tariffs and small parcel changes? I can only speak for myself, but I started moving away from doing the small parcel charges a year and a half ago because I saw this coming. Not that I was excited that it's going to be a problem. Like, not that I was excited that like, oh yeah, I saw it coming. I was like, I need a backup way to get tea in. And so we did all the papers and got customs agents and do everything properly. So I've been able to get the stuff in. It's just more expensive, and I'm probably going to have to raise the prices for the holiday season. I'm still holding out hope that the Supreme Court calls the tariffs unconstitutional and refunds us our money, and I don't have to raise the taxes. But if I wind up having to actually pay these taxes, which I've already paid, but I'm not going to get reimbursed, then going into the holiday season, I'm probably going to have to raise the prices a little bit. Ellis Golub asks, is this France? This is Los Angeles. We're in California. It'd probably be nighttime in France by now. Cheers, everyone. Questions over here. Other questions. I respected you until you bootlicked Congress. I don't think that. Have you watched the video? I think if you watch the video, that's not an accurate understanding of what I've done. But also, if your respect for me was so light that me trying to share my experiences causes you to lose your respect for me, I can't do anything more about that, man. I'm just one guy trying to get tea culture out into the world, trying to do my best. Can't make everybody happy. Questions over here. Oh, I wish I could smell the tea. It would be really nice. That's the one thing that we need the internet to be able to give you guys a better shot at some sort of smell-o-vision over here. Matt White Engineering says midnight in the UK, so 1 a.m. in France. I should have done this a couple hours earlier. We could have gotten our European friends on, but hey, if you want to watch some tea at midnight, feel free to chill out. You know, maybe no tea for you at that time of the hour, but somebody says, haha, I watched the live stream and you did not lick their boots. That's what I thought. I think, you know, everybody is entitled to their opinion, but watch the video. Certainly don't say anything like that unless you watch the video. Questions over here. How's Big Puff been doing? He's been doing good. He's in there though, and I only have room in the wash bowl for one teapot. So we'll keep him over there for now. But he's been doing good. By the way, if you're just joining, I'm drinking this red tea, which is a high-end red tea sample that I brought back from China. Cheers. Very sweet. Got kind of a little bit of a brown sugar thing. Yeah, very, very sweet, very crisp, very clean. Cheers. Over here. Other questions. Could you describe what the tea smells like? It's got this really nice floral thing going on. This type of red tea, yeah, like really nice floral, almost like an osmanthus flower scent, and this is not scented with osmanthus, it just smells like that. It's great. Questions over here. I'm making the mandarin peel shomei white tea as we speak. Thank you so much. I'm looking for a way to bring that back to the website. We're actually out of those right now, but if you have them, good, enjoy them. It's good tea. Questions of Denver. Can I buy a Chenpi in the USA? Good quality Rex? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if you go to like a Chinese grocery, you might be able to find some. Whether it's any good, I don't know. We've been looking to try to get it into the States. We were planning on doing a whole line of like Chenpi stuff, and then the trade war hit, and we had to not cancel all of our plans for the rest of the year, but like basically everything except the subscription box had to get shelved while we recover from the trade war. So we had to spend all the energy we would have been spending on new products was being spent on fixing the supply crunch and getting everything figured out and figuring out what the laws are now and figuring out how to do importing again and trying to do extra math to figure out how much we have to charge. So it's figuring out. Questions over here. I brought some of your tea a while back for my husband. He really likes it. Thank you, AM. I appreciate that. I'm glad you and your husband are having a good time. I always love it when people buy the tea as a gift and then they get to drink it together. It's like, this is things going right. Cheers. Appreciate it. Other questions over here. Alum Malice Shack, going to China soon. Can you recommend some brands of tea to buy? Brands, I don't know. But like, if you're going to China, especially if you're going anywhere where they have local tea, buy whatever's grown nearby. So if you're in Hangzhou, buy green tea from the area. If you're in Yunnan, buy pu'er or red tea or white tea or any sort of thing from Yunnan. A lot of times if you go to a city, they're going to have like what they call a chacheng, a tea city or tea market. That's the place to go. So that'd be my suggestion. Very cool. Max KB says, you ever been to Honolulu, Chinatown? I have not. I've been to Honolulu, but I don't think I've been to the Chinatown. But Hawaii is very interesting culturally. Lots of really interesting cultures and peoples living in Hawaii. Very, very cool. Questions over here. Would you rather have $1 million or 100 million 1-cent candies? Not sure what that means. Probably just $1 million. I don't want to deal with 100 million candies. Denver says Shanghai has a tea city outside of downtown. It was nuts, so many vendors. Yeah, so lots of vendors. Those are fun places though. Go try out some stuff. I always enjoy going there. I find you get better tea and a better deal than going to like a tea house. Although if you're going with like friends and you have like one afternoon in Shanghai and you want an experience, both are great. That being said, my aesthetic, I personally still like the wholesale markets just as a place to hang out. It feels kind of more real than a fancy tea shop. But, you know, fancy tea shop is, you know, I'll be the last person in the world to tell you not to go to a fancy tea shop. So. Cheers, everybody. By the way, if you're just joining, I'm Jesse, I'm your tea guy. We're drinking red tea today, high-end red tea that I brought back from China. I've got a couple streams going here. I have 3 streams, so if I'm answering questions that are not on your screen, I apologize. I should figure out a way to actually get this all aligned, but I don't know it as of yet. Questions over here. Drone behind me? There might have been a drone. Sometimes people fly drones around downtown. Not sure whether it works. Questions. What is the difference between the Doi rounded fisherman pot and the apple pot? That's a good question. This is the apple pot. The rounded fisherman is more kind of like egg-shaped going up. It's almost like an egg going up, and this is almost like an egg going sideways. The biggest practical difference is that the apple pot, which is what I'm using, has this really wide mouth. So if you're doing lots of teas that are either like puffy, like loose white tea, or you're doing chunks of pu'er, sometimes the mouth is easier to access here. But really the biggest choice, if you're choosing between the two of them, they're both the same material, the same bamboo ash glaze. They look really nice. It's really just an aesthetic choice, whichever you like better. If you look at one and you're like, that's it, that's not it, go with the one that you have the vibe for. Appreciate it. Questions over here. Somebody, a question over here. It says, I love the skyline. Thank you. Yeah, this is, everybody hates on downtown LA because it's wild and civilization is just at the point of cracking. But the buildings are still really pretty. And also the weather is fantastic. Good to be out here. Question, would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? That's a great question. I actually had a lot of fun asking that question to my my Chinese comedy friends last time I was back in China. I think I have to fight the horse-sized duck. I'm not happy about it, but I don't really think I could take down 100 duck-sized horses. Actually, yeah, I think I'm doing 100. I think 40 is a more fair fight, but I'll do the duck-sized horses. Very nice. Cheers, everybody. A little bit for lucky. There we go. If you guys have any tea questions, feel free to let me know. Questions, will you have another LA Teatime? Yes. I want to do more LA Teatime stuff, meetups in the area. Partially to see you guys for tea, and partially because I am actually preparing I have a book coming out in February, and I'm preparing a stand-up book tour. And so I have all these jokes and stories and stuff I need to test out on someone. So I'm trying to figure out how to hold a meetup where we can do some tea, and then I can do like either working off of a script or working off of bullet points, try to get some stage time and test out some jokes. So I'll let you know if I'm going to do that. Oh, sorry about that. Great. Questions over here. Hello from Italy. Welcome. Buongiorno or whatever. Buona noche or however you say good night. I bet it's late over there. I had so much fun in Italy. I was in Italy for 8 days last year and to do tea stuff last fall. And it was so much fun. I had so much great food. I really liked, Italy, it felt a lot like, it felt weirdly a lot like Yunnan to me, and I love Yunnan. But just everybody cared so much about the quality of the food and the ingredients and keep it simple, and I love food stuff, so Italy's a place to be. Check out the color on that red tea. Isn't that awesome? Really, really pretty. Welcome over here. Questions over here. Will you please do a Texas Teatime? San Angelo or maybe Austin would be fastest. West Texas is neglected in the loose leaf tea world. I did an event in Austin, I think, not last summer, but the summer before that. That was a lot of fun. I should come back. I got to figure out a way to, because I spent so much time in China this year, whenever I get back to the States, I just don't feel like traveling anymore. So I've kind of neglected the travel around the rest of the country. But in the future, maybe, especially if we can work it in with a book tour. That would be great. Questions over here. It's midnight in the UK. We love our tea. I hope so. We're updates on the UK warehouse, by the way. Most of our stuff is already in the UK, in our warehouse. We're ready to launch except for one green tea and one of the subscription teas, which those 2 teas got destroyed when we sent them over, and we had a paperwork issue, and it led to the teas being destroyed. I had to destroy about 50 kilos of tea or something like that. It was a disaster, total loss, and everybody's now upset because it's late and everything is slow. I'm doing the best I can, and we're going to be shipping over the new ones by air, I expect by this week. And I'm no longer giving any promises in terms of time because I don't control the customs, and sometimes they make it sit, sometimes they don't. But this time when we send it over, we're going to have pre-approval. We're going to send all the papers beforehand and say, is this all in line? And so by the time we send it, we'll be pretty sure that we're not going to have any customs issues. And if that's the case, that would be great. And then we are finally open in the UK, and our plans going forward is for all of the next subscriptions, at least the next 3 subscription boxes. 4, we have EU and UK certified. So we already are moving on the next couple boxes, and I found a lot of the teas on my trip this year. Those will come out next year. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so somebody just asked as well about updates on the subscription box going to the UK. Same thing. Once the GABA oolong comes over, hopefully next week, we're going to send it out. I know it's really late for the UK people, so if you guys would rather skip this cycle and go to the next one, we're going to give you an option to do that. I don't want to force everybody to buy a lot of tea all at once because we were late. So as always, tea friend support at jessesteahouse.com. You can email us, ask us any questions. We're in it to get you guys the tea. Cheers, everybody. Questions? Are you coming to Michigan? I don't think I'd be going to Michigan for the book tour unless the publisher knows somebody there. But we'll figure it out. I mean, the truth is, if the book tour goes well, we might add dates. But it's going to be a little bit touch and go. I know we're definitely doing LA, San Francisco. I'm almost 100% sure we're doing DC, New York, and Boston. So we're hitting the coasts. But hopefully we'll be able to go to other places as well. I would love to go to more. The publisher is like, 4 or 5 or 6 events is really enough. And we're going to be relying heavily on using the social media to be able to share about the book. The book is about my many years in China apprenticing to a master comedian and being a comedian in China. So I apprenticed to a man named Ding Guangquan, Master Ding, and I studied traditional Chinese comedy and apprenticed with him for what turned out to be 7 years. So I did a lot of, back before COVID and before the tea page, I was doing comedy full time. I wrote for Chinese TV shows. I did shows on Chinese cruise ships, Royal Caribbean, Princess Cruises. What were the other companies? Costa Cruises. Lots of big theater shows for Chinese audiences. It was pretty crazy. So we're definitely doing that. We have the Hidden Los Angeles is on. Welcome. We're doing a tea podcast from downtown LA. Welcome. If you ever want to do any hidden tea stuff, I got the best tea in the entire city. Better than the Ritz. Better than the Beverly Hills Hotel. Better than any hotel is in my apartment. PM me. Who else we got up here? Rest in peace, Master Ding. Definitely. Dude was a hero. We find links to your comedy. Yeah, if you search up Jesse Appel Comedy, or you go to my Chinese, I believe it's Jesse Chinese Comedy on TikTok. You'd be able to find some of my old bits. I also still do comedy, but because of the political situation in China now, if I say something that is excessive here, it's going to get pirated into China, and that could blow up everything, including the tea company. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do the, still trying to figure out how to be able to do the comedy here in a way that's safe, and still be able to make people laugh. It's harder than it used to be. When I moved there in 2012, it wasn't anywhere near this bad. just as the U.S. is kind of closing off, China is also closing off. But it was always way more closed than America to begin with, so now they're pretty closed. Going to order some of the tea resins soon. Thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, jessieseahouse.com, my website. You can always go and check out the resins. On TikTok, I also have like the shop function on there, so you can go and like on the live screen, I have a couple featured products. And if anybody makes an order while they're on here, tell me, and I will give a tea pour on the Teapot for you. Cheers, everybody. Questions? What's on my shirt? This says 中文有戏, which means Chinese has drama. Oh, hold on, there's like a dirt bike crowd going. It's like a dozen people riding those really low rider motorcycles. is China has drama. I got it when I performed at Xiamen University. I actually got a grant from the U.S. Embassy to do comedy shows all over Chinese universities. It's hard to believe it was not even 10 years ago, but at that time, the U.S. had a whole bunch of government-supported, culture centers all over Chinese universities. So Chinese universities would allow cultural events put forward by American universities, basically. And this was one of the festivals that I performed at. And it's one of, I think, 2 or 3 pieces of clothing that I happened to have in my suitcase when COVID hit and I lost all my stuff in China. So it's one of the few pieces of clothing I had from my China time. That being said, I'm like getting fat because it's too tight. I definitely am fatter than I was when I lived there. So, very, very cool. Question over here, comment. I don't typically enjoy tea, but I always watch your content, and that says a lot about your content. Thank you so much. I encourage you to try the tea. Watch the videos, they're always fun, but give the tea a try. It's a lot of fun. I think you'll have a good time. Other questions over here. I would like to do theater in China. You totally should. It's a lot of fun. There's a big, not a big theater scene, but like the theater people in China are really cool. And it's always a good group of people over there. Rayhan says, are there any raw pu'er tea resins? So Sister, I made some raw pu'er tea resins for me to try, and I just didn't think they were up to the same quality as the other ones that we had. The 4 that are on the website are all really good, and I think that they're all excellent. The tea, I felt like the raw pu'er and the white resins that she had were below the quality I wanted, and so we're working on how to be able to get them better. But the truth is the resin process works better with the darker, richer teas anyway. With a lot of like the green tea or raw pu'er or white tea, like I tried those resins, she had samples, but like a lot of the fragrance was not there. And so when you have the bigger, fuller bodied teas, those work better as resin. Questions over here. Sub for so long, long time, I love your content, thank you. If you don't mind, what was your first year getting into tea? Probably 2010 was when I studied abroad in China for the first time, and I spent 6 months there, and I would have like a travel, like a to-go bottle with like a net at the top, like a sieve, and I would just pack that full of tea and drink it every day during classes and re-steep in between classes, and that kept me going. I guess I started drinking way more tea than ever before. I'd say really when I moved to China though, 2012, when I moved to China, I was able to buy a tea table, I put it in my apartment, I had like room to be able to store all the tea stuff I wanted. 2012 was the time. So yeah, that was probably when I really started going deep down the rabbit hole. It was excellent. Jake Halb says, when I came across your content, I so wanted to like pu'er, but but it turns out I'm not one for the funk, but love the oolong, so yay. Definitely try all different types. I mean, I always, like, not everyone's gonna like every type of tea. Pu'er, especially the cooked pu'er, is really funky. It's like dark, it's earthy, it's like musty. All these words don't necessarily make it sound good, but it is very good. Question when the Alishan oolong will be back in stock. I believe we got a shipment of that in just recently, because I paid like $7,000 in tariffs on stuff coming in from Taiwan. I think that was part of the shipment. So I don't think it'll be that long, but I don't have the computer in front of me to check the software, unfortunately. We are planning on reordering it though. It just, everything takes longer in Taiwan. They just don't work as fast as on the mainland. Our team there is really great. Shout out to Jamie, our tea gal, but it just takes longer to get the packaging made, takes longer to get everything done, takes longer to get everything done. So we're working on it. Questions over here. Will there be more subscription boxes in Canada? Yes, there will, Jeffrey. We had really bad luck in that we sent a shipment of all the teas in, and the Taiwanese red jade tea. We had a lot of breakages, and like, we just lost a lot of them going to Canada. And so as a result, like, basically the one day that we launched, we sold out. But the plan is to keep it in better stock going forward. So that's where we're at. Q asks, what city? I assume you're asking where I am. I'm in Los Angeles. So greetings from Southern California. Cheers. Cheers. Hiya. Tried to drink the tea while looking at the video and it did not work. Questions over here. Any updates on the Jesse Seals tea kettles? Not really. We need to see how this holiday season goes. If the holiday season goes well, we'll have cash again and we'll be able to do shit. But like, the last half year has been really rough. We have more people than last year and made less money than last year because of the tariffs. A lot of energy that would have gone to develop a new product was spent on recovering from the tariffs. So like, you know, if we have a good holiday season, I'm going to be like, great, we're back. And like, we can start doing a lot more new stuff. If not, we're going to have to be a lot more selective going forward and really just do the stuff that is most, I don't even want to say profitable, but it's like most efficient. Like spending a lot of time and energy to track down new manufacturers in a field that we've never done before. I'd like to do it. I think it'd be a lot of fun, but like, it would be a lot of work, and I don't know how many we'd actually sell. But you know, we're coming out with a line of silver jewelry that's going to be out before Christmas, so keep your eyes open for that. That's going to be fun. We are developing a lot of new stuff. We have great new stuff coming in November. It's going to be really, really fun. So it's definitely a. We have a lot of cool stuff going on. I just can't tackle everything at once, but that'll be the way to go. People saying they want the teapot. Dui Dui's apple teapot. It's part of my part of the tea line that Dui Dui, my tea guy, made. He has 4 pots on the website. 3 of them are like this that are made with the bamboo ash. You can see the bamboo ash finish over there. And it's made with purple clay. It's the purple clay on the inside. It's not a famous purple clay, but it is very good quality. It's just a really good quality teapot that works well and it looks great. And not too much, not too expensive. They're $68 and they come in a gift box too if you're getting it as a gift. Questions over here. Looking forward to sharing your tea with all my friends here in Ireland. You're amazing. Thank you so much. I'm not sure which is easier for you, the UK or the EU warehouse, but try them both. Ireland is not in the common market, is it? If you are in the common market, you can get the stuff from the EU warehouse without any taxes. Very, very cool. Question over here from Jonas? James. I've been wanting to get into tea. I gave up alcohol, but I miss geeking out about beer and wine. Yeah, tea is really good. We have several people on our Discord server who have told me that they use tea basically as a replacement hobby for a lot of that alcohol. It's a really good replacement for alcohol. And also I have a couple teas you can even drink at night, which is great. So if you want to do something where you can have like a really good drink at night and not keep yourself up. That would be a good way to do it. Very, very cool. Any tips for the teas from the kit with cup/teapot instead of a Gaiwan? All the teas come with info cards, and they have a teapot like steep time suggestion on there too. Try that and then see how it goes. If you're putting it just in a mug and you're just like throwing the tea in a mug and then filling it with water, just use like a third as much tea as you normally would, because it's going to oversteep in there. But if you have less than normal, then oversteeping will get kind of closer to normal. Questions over here. By the way, I appreciate it. If I missed your comments or questions, I apologize. I'm trying to keep them all out. Shout out from China. Tried the tea. Amazing. Thank you, CXV. Always glad to hear people trying stuff out. All Gators says, good thing about ADHD is I can drink caffeine at night. It doesn't matter. I have ADHD and it would definitely keep me up, but that's just maybe we're all different. We're all snowflakes. Questions over here from Lee Shigali says, what tea are you drinking? I'm drinking red tea, a red tea sample that I brought back from the Tea Mountains and from Hunan, from one of the organic farms that we're thinking of working with in the future. Very, very tasty. It's been super fun. Any questions over here? Nate Dogg says, love my spring tea. Jesse, thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for being patient with the difficulties of our delivery. That being said, going forward, I think we have a lot of this stuff down. And unless they have another trade war, I expect that we should be in better shape next year with our shipping than this year. Luigi says, hey, just bought 50 grams of the Chi-Men. Thank you so much. We're going to give a little piece of a little pour of tea to Lucky as a thank you to Luigi. By the way, if anybody does make an order, I will give you a Teapot pour, compliments of me to you for thanking you for supporting the shop. Typo can't type. How often do you accidentally pour boiling water on your leg because it happens to be at least once every other week? The problem I have is not pouring the boiling water. The problem I have is that every video I make, if you notice, there's one shot where I kind of look at the camera and take the sip. That shot, I wind up dripping on my leg a lot from the cup because I'm looking at the screen and the cup is not always going exactly where I think it's going. What am I going to say? There's big challenges to being a tea guy on the internet. But I'm also determined to overcome those challenges, to recognize them, and to become the superior version of myself that has overcome those problems. Cheers. Drive within, do you live in LA? Yes, I do. I'm in LA right now. I'm back. I was away. I've been out of LA for 4.5 months this year so far. So, it's been wild. Is that the clay bunny? I bought that one with the Chi-Men. Yes, it is. This is the clay bunny. I call mine Lucky. You, of course, can call yours whatever you want. Teapots on my site if you want any of them. We have a big selection of them. Some of them, the rat and the pig teapot, were actually designed by fans of ours, so that won our teapot competition. So, very cool. All right, any other questions? Lee Shelley, greetings from Germany, by the way, thank you. Try our new EU shop, it's all open now. We got the green teas, the subscription box, our Taiwanese teas, all our tea equipment, it's all in the EU. For the first time, really since we've opened, it's like full speed on the EU warehouse. We don't have everything on the US shop there, but we have quite a lot of selection now. And in November, we're gonna have another subscription box with a bunch more teas and a lot of choices there. So I hope you guys really liked it. Drive with Den said, we thought you lived in China. I mean, I've been in China for 4 months this year. I'm back and forth. So LA is my base here in the States, and then in China, I'm all over. You know, I have a lot of friends in Beijing, but there's like not as much tea stuff there. So, you know, when I'm in China, I'm in Yunnan, I'm in Fujian, I'm in Hunan, I'm in Guizhou, I'm in Zhejiang. Like anywhere where they have good tea. Very cool, very cool. Alexei Pashkin says, shout out from Russia. Loves watching your videos and always have the same questions. One, how do you not burn your fingers on the Gaiwan? And two, why don't you use Jindajen teapots? Great questions. Greetings to our friends in Russia. Cheers. Blah, blah, blah. Fortunately, we can't ship to Russia because of the sanctions, but one day, hopefully things will get back to safety for everybody involved. Questions. How do I avoid burning my fingers? I'll show you. It's not super difficult. So, if you have a Gaiwan, go here. So in order to make tea with this, what you do is you pour the water into the Gaiwan, and then the key is don't make it hard on yourself. Leave yourself a lot of room. Look at how much room I have over here to be able to put the lid on and then grab it with the side fingers. But see, the fingers are not really near the hot liquid. The hot liquid is not really heating up that Gaiwan. So try to take it easy on yourself and just pour the water less high. That's the easiest beginner way to avoid burning your hands. And the other question is, why don't I use Jindajen teapot? So for people that don't know, Jindajen is one of the imperial kilns. It's one of the places where the emperor got his porcelain. And so they have many, 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 many generations of artisans making really great teapots from there. And they're generally considered to be the highest class, kind of some of the highest class teaware, especially porcelain, that you can get in China. The reason I don't use them as much is because they're very expensive. In my opinion, the only point of getting something from Jindajen is if it's handmade. If it's machine-made, you know, we have a lot of really good quality machine-made stuff that's on the website, and it works really well. The point of having, in my opinion, a Jindajen piece is to have it handmade, but because all the stuff is handmade, it's very expensive, and like we don't feature it on the website because it's like, you know, it's buying a piece of art. So like, as much as I love tea as art, I also want everything to be affordable and accessible. And then once you're into tea, then you can go and like splurge on a $200, you know, hand painted Gaiwan or something like that. But for now, like we have a whole set, like this whole set, including all of the filters, the cups, the pitcher. I mean, this stuff is $68 for the entire set. You can get going, and that's like more than enough to be able to get going with all your stuff. Whereas in Jindajen, like a single Gaiwan might cost you a lot more than that. So, raise questions over here. Typo can't type. Sorry if this is personal, but I've noticed that you eat pork and shellfish in some videos and talked about being Jewish. Are you not practicing Jewish? I don't keep kosher, so I don't follow the Jewish like food kosher rules. In general, I'm not super religious. I think the you know, I think for me, like it's about the community, and also almost more as like a philosophy rather than a religion. Like, I don't feel like I have any impending doom to my soul if I don't follow any of the rules of Judaism. But there's a lot of interesting philosophical and valuable ways to live that are found in Judaism, like many other religions. And so I try to be a part of that when I can, and to think about it. So, great question. This guy is a tea nerd, and I like that. Does anyone know if he has ADHD? I do. How did he guess? Questions over here. Hello from Arizona. I wanted to say that I love the tea. This is from Licky828. I want to say that I love the joy and passion you have for the tea. Respect and compassion you show your vendors is amazing. Thank you. We're all doing it together. I think it's also like, as a tea guy, like I'm not a farmer. I don't plant the tea. I don't grow the tea. I don't produce the tea. I help find you guys good tea, but like I have a lot of respect for the people that actually grow the tea, plant the tea, farm the tea, pick the tea by hand. Like we only sell hand-picked stuff on the site. So it's like, it's a lot of time and effort, and I feel it's like it's the least I can do to give them a shout out, to let people know where they're getting their stuff from. I think it helps you guys know where you're getting your stuff from, and it's like they deserve it. And I think a lot of like, the more you look into this, especially with tea, you'll notice that the way the industry was set up was basically a lot of things were set up so that people in the West, England, France, these places, were kept purposefully in the dark by the colonial tea farms because, one, they didn't want people knowing how tea was farmed so that they would have competition. Two, they didn't want people knowing the conditions under which their people worked, which back in the colonial period was basically slave labor. And then three, even now to the modern day, like transparency in your supply chain is really your supply chain is really a business secret. If you want to maximize how much money you make, it's not a bad idea to keep everything secret, just in case. And I feel like there are business secrets that we sometimes have to keep, and we have to be wary about some stuff. But wherever I can share what's going on, I tend to like to share it. Also, like, as you guys know, there's a lot of haters on the internet. So a lot of times people are like, everything from China is poisoned and it's going to kill you. And it's like, nah, man, like we're registered with the FDA. We get all our stuff from really good places. It's better quality than you can find in the store. We do our pesticide tests and all this stuff. Like, we're trying to do it right. And I'm not even sure if the big companies do it right. I'm not going to say that they're not, because I don't want to be a hater with no data. But we're doing our stuff right. So that's another point of openness, is like when I'm showing you all this stuff, if you are like, hey, this organic farm in the middle of nature, in the middle of nowhere, I just feel it's polluted, despite the fact there's no science behind it, or the fact that it passes all the tests for the import, even to the EU. If that's how you're like, I can't help you. But if you're actually just like legit worried, because there are legit concerns from food products, anything you put in your mouth, you want to know where it's from. Or at least I think it's reasonable to want to know where it's from. Some people don't care or don't think about it, but I like food, I like drinks. I mean, I think about that stuff a lot. I like being able to share as much as I know, because that means that if people like that, then I get to go to even better places and show the even better places, and people like that, and we can have like really high quality tea on the site, and it works. It's great. Questions over here. Great questions. 你好，从美国. Hello, Cal from America. Welcome. Way to go, 104. Keep it up. Double tap your screen. I'm not sure what that means. Nura says hello from Malaysia. Welcome. I've always wanted to go to Malaysia. I really regret I didn't get to go to Malaysia back when I lived in China. It would be much easier than now. But I've heard the food in Malaysia is unbelievably good. It's at the crossroads of all those great trading routes. Very, very cool. Alexa says, nice view. Thanks so much. Hey man, I came across your TikToks recently. I think it's really cool how interested you are in your particular niche. Thank you so much, Caleb. It's crazy how big this thing has grown, man. I mean, it's we're coming on, is it 20, what year is it, 2025? Next year will be 5 years for the tea company. That's crazy. 4 years is crazy, but 5 years is really going to be crazy. We should really do a all-out 5th birthday party of some sort. Very, very cool. Questions over here. Do you ever enjoy cold tea? I have a little trouble drinking hot drinks. It's from lemon. You can cold brew any of these teas. I'm not an expert at the cold brew about like how much water to how much leaf. Usually honest, when I make cold brew, it's because I have extra leaves like this. Let's say that I was drinking this and they're not fully out of their flavor yet. I would just put them in a pitcher and cold brew it. By the way, also, one thing you're looking for from a high quality tea, when it's all unfurled here, look how pretty this leaf is. Full, like, occasionally you'll have damage on stuff, so I'm not saying if it's damaged, it's crap, but like, that's pretty good. That's what you're looking for. Very small, very tender. It should be soft. And then also, look at this. They picked it right at the perfect spot. Minimum of stem. Sometimes on the teas on my site, they'll have a little bit more stem than I like in an ideal world, but it's not really bad for it to have the stem. It just kind of doesn't look as nice. But like, a tea like this might be, I don't want to say double the price, but like, if you have tea leaves that look really pretty before and after, sometimes the price is doubled or tripled. And so depending on the price level of the tea, sometimes I make the decision, do I want the leaves to look really pretty and pay more, or do I want the taste to be just as good but pay a little bit less? And it depends on each individual situation. The premium Chimen, which we had somebody, Luigi, bought, that stuff is beautiful. I paid the extra money for that because it was premium. Jinjun Mei as well. Somebody's asking if I like Jinjun Mei. I love Jinjun Mei. That's also a tea that, if you get a good one, looks really, really pretty. Throwing the leaf over. I'm going to do a couple more minutes here. Questions over here. Good luck. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Abdul Kahir says, my favorite guy on YouTube. You're my favorite guy on YouTube, Abdul Kahir. Thanks for watching the live stream. Cheers, everybody. A little bit more to Lucky. He's drowning, but I think that's a good thing. Questions over here. I missed the question up here. Rockin' Horsewoman says, hey Jesse, I have a cast iron teapot but don't trust the tag. Any advice? I'm not sure what you mean by the tag. Like, you don't trust the maker? I would contact the whoever you bought the teapot from and ask whatever questions. See how they do. Questions over here. What city are you in? Philly over here. I'm in LA. Other coast. Philly's cool though. I liked Philly when I was in Philly. I had friends that lived in Philly. Very cool. Somebody says, just found your channel. Welcome, welcome. Abdul Kahir says, I love Chinese tea, but I struggle to find the time to enjoy it, sadly. My favorite is Shampuar. Yeah, like, the time is the big thing. Like, as much as it's easy to sit here and say, oh, just take the time. But the truth is, if you don't have 15 minutes to sit and drink tea, that's, like, not great. Like, it's, you need to find the time for yourself. Like, you know, hopefully we're all going to live many, many more years. Like, I'm just a big believer in, like, you know, trying to really make it sustainable. Like, you know, when I lived in China, a lot of the Americans I knew would get burnout. They would just burn out. They living abroad, you know, another country, another language, all that sort of stuff. And so I was always very careful to avoid burnout because I didn't want to burn out, and then all this time and energy I put into learning the language and everything would be difficult, and so, you know, be lost. So even now back in the States, I'm like, avoid the burnout. Burnout's bad. The burnout will be really, really, like, you'll live better today taking 15 minutes to drink tea, and you'll live better tomorrow when you don't burn out. Very, very cool. Great questions over here. Amanda says, love your business and love the tea. Are you hiring? Thank you. We're not hiring right now. I don't know when we're going to be hiring again. We have too many people right now because we hired extra people before the trade war, and then the trade war hit very hard. The tariffs have been bad for us. But hopefully we recover through that. We have a good holiday season. Don't forget us when you're thinking of your holiday gifts. I know it's like still a little bit of ways in the future, but if you're like, I like Jesse, I like the tea, get all your friends tea and tea stuff gifts. We're also going to have silver jewelry coming out, and new samplers, all sorts of fun stuff. Really, yeah, don't forget us. Question over here. Alexi Pashkin says, have you tried a Tibetan black tea? I tried, we have a Tibetan dark tea on the website. It's on cha. Which is really good. I think it's called Tibetan dark tea. That was excellent. Questions from Ducky Pandy says, what percent of tariffs are you paying on the products? Right now, I think the tariffs are 55% from China. So that's not 55% of the whole price of the product. It's 55% of the value of the items that we're buying. So, you know, if I buy tea for whatever it is, like, you know, $150 a kilo, then that's $225 by the time it arrives. But the real damage from the tariffs were, one, that it was so unstable for a while we couldn't ship at all, so we had to skip a subscription box, and we ran out of stock. And the other problem now is we're finding a lack of shippers that actually want to pay all the legal paperwork, because none of the Chinese sellers respect the tariffs. for better or worse, they just think that it's over aggressive and they don't like it, and so they find all sorts of ways to go around it. But if we're actually trying to pay the tariffs, then we can't ship with people that are trying to dodge the tariffs, because if they get caught dodging, we get in trouble, and we have all the papers and we're paying. So annoying. It's just gotten very difficult. Questions over here. Mr. Nobody said, can you tell us about the Tibetan black tea? The Tibetan dark tea is very funky, very nutty. It's actually, it's post-fermented, so it's kind of like a show or a cooked pu'er. The post-fermentation style that was adapted to pu'er came from these types of teas. And even though it says Tibetan, it's actually grown in Sichuan province on the Tibetan plateau, and it's called Tibetan dark tea because that was the tea that the Tibetans were drinking, and one of the Tang Dynasty princesses married the Lama of Tibet, and at the wedding, as part of the gifts, they gave this Tibetan dark tea, and it wound back up into the Tang Dynasty court through this pathway. So, according to the Tang, it was Tibetan tea, but it's actually grown in Sichuan province. So that's kind of the story now. It's really good. It's also not crazy expensive. I think it's like $22.50 on the website or something like that. It's not crazy expensive. Very, very cool. We do one or more two questions. Arsene Lupin says, you're still a young business, but how do you plan on expanding your offerings once the tariffs are resolved? Any areas or types you want to focus on? Right now for areas, we have the US, Canada, and EU running fully. UK might open as soon as next week. Once we get those on, I'm just going to be focused on finding really good tea. I'm focusing mostly on organic teas going forward, even if they're not labeled organic when you guys get them. If they're grown organically, they just have no pesticide, like no chemical fertilizers, or no issues with heavy metals. Just makes it easier to source better quality tea. So that's on the horizon. And then I also want to do like a rare tea sampler. I want to do like a 30-year age white tea and a very old, very rare types of teas with smaller amounts. That's been on my to-do list for like 3 years, and it keeps getting pushed back. But it's going to be there. Questions over here. Will I be taking a sabbatical? I drink tea all the time, so I really don't take any time off. Questions over there. Sister I is the best tea. She's great tea. Awesome tea. Arsene Lupin says, rare tea sampler sounds great by areas and then areas in China. Oh yeah. We're looking also to do province-specific boxes. So we have plans for my last trip in Guizhou. I went to all these tea places. We have plans next year to do a Guizhou-specific box, all from that province, different types of teas. So that's going to be exciting. I really like that. Michelle Lehman says, please sell the Chinese matcha. We're working on that. So for those of you that don't know, I went to a Chinese matcha plant while I was in Guizhou last trip, and I was actually pretty impressed. The biggest thing I was worried about was like health and safety, because I've seen a lot of people say, oh, the Chinese matcha, it's going to be bad for you. They had top-end equipment from Japan, brand new. Everybody was in hazmat suits. It was really, really well done. The quality of the matcha was pretty good. It was pretty good, and it was very good for the price, in my opinion. So, will the matcha in China compete with the highest-end Japanese matchas? I don't think so. Is it good enough for regular people who want to occasionally make matcha or put it in a latte or even drink it straight up? I think so. And we're working on making a matcha line. But I'm still doing a lot of research on that because I want to do it right, and most importantly also culturally I want to do it right. If we're going to do it, I want to do it in a way that makes sense so we can tell everybody, hey, we're in, what this is, what it isn't. But mostly I feel comfortable with it because I went to the farms and I saw the land that the leaves were coming from, and the trees were really good. A lot of it was grown organically. When you go to a tea farm, if they say it's an organic tea farm, you should basically be able to see grass growing up everywhere. There should be areas where they're weeding it or they're having to like deal with the repercussions from having the overgrowth of the grass. You should see bug bites on the leaves, because if there are no pesticides, you're going to lose a little bit of your crop to the bugs. But they have like high altitude matcha. Like, you know, there are no places in Japan that have the altitude at that northern latitude, up at altitude, that the trees don't die. And so the Japanese matcha, while it doesn't have kind of like seaweedy umami, like there's a lot of umami there, but it doesn't have like kind of the seaweed flavor that a lot of the Japanese matcha has. It does have a really crisp, clean umami flavor to it that I really liked, and so I'm working on that sampler. Questions over here. T. Dealer Paris says, Jesse, wish you all the best with the legalization in the EU. We're working on it. We're open now. So T. Dealer Paris, maybe if we do an event in France. I was going to do an event in France last time, and it didn't come through. I ran out of days. I was going to go to France, but I think I spent an extra couple days in Italy instead. But next time I'm definitely going to Paris, so we should do a Paris thing over there. Questions over here. June Thanos Churchill says, I just want to express my appreciation for the way you do business, Jesse. Thank you. More people should go about it the way you do in and out of tea. I appreciate it. I try to do my best. I just like have a zero tolerance for what I've seen on the internet, and I've seen a lot of people, because I was in entertainment, comedy, film. I was in these industries, and I saw like the worst outcome was the people that did social media but faked it. And if they fake it, they basically have to live like a half life. They have a fake life they have to pretend to be doing and being happy about, but they're not happy. But they have to pretend to be happy because it's social media and everybody's happy all the time. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have like a fake personality for the internet. I mean, obviously, like, you know, I don't share everything with you guys, like, but this element to myself, I try to be as real as I can. And so, get out of that fly. Cheers, by the way. And so, same with the business. I don't want to be like, not able to sleep at night, like, oh, I hope people don't find it out. Like, I try to do everything as transparent as I can, not just for you guys, but also for myself, so I know what I'm doing. And when I tell people it's good, I know that it's good, and I'm not like hoping they don't find out something. And, you know, occasionally you get haters, but I think most of the haters are either really ignorant about tea. Like, one guy was angry at me because of the tariff situation. He was like, why don't you just go buy tea from another place? Tea is tea, or buy from America. They really don't make high quality tea in America. There's like one farm in South Carolina that is basically a tourist attraction, but like there's not enough supply. Or they're like super high level tea people who have been in the hobby for so long, they dislike that, you know, it's overly simple for them, or it's too accessible for people, or I'm bringing more people into Gong Fu and they've been used to a very small environment, or they're like, I personally could get tea for less. It's like, well, you've done tea for 20 years. I'm sure you can find somebody who will sell you tea for less. Maybe it's even better for less, but most people don't have those connections and don't go to China and don't bring stuff back in the suitcase. And in terms of Western brands, I think we really stick up there well, especially when you consider paying all the taxes, paying all the tariffs, paying our state sales taxes, paying our employees well. You know, we have employees in China, we pay healthcare for all our Chinese employees. You know, we have actual like inventory in America that we have to pay storage for. But we do that so you guys can get it in 2 days. So it's definitely a you know, I think considering all that stuff, we stack up pretty well price wise. Questions over here. There's many haters in the American Gong Fu Cha community from M. Roland. Yeah, and it's weird because it's like tea people are generally pretty chill. So like even in most of the American tea people I've met are also pretty chill. But there are haters out there. And like, you know, and this is something I learned from being a comedian. You can't make everybody happy. You can't do it. It's like, it's not possible. It's nothing you can do. So yeah, I am going to get going. And I will see you guys around. Thank you guys so much for following and for all your support. Reminder, go to my website, jesseseahouse.com if you want tea. Really do appreciate it. It's the best way to support me and the channel and everything going on here is to get tea. We're going to have a lot of new options coming forward in November with our next subscription box. Thank you again, Tom, and to everybody who gave me gifts on the TikTok chat. We will get a ton of gifts, but I don't like it. Thank you for the gifts. Support me by getting the tea if you really want to help out the channel. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Tom. And I will. Last question over here. No, not safe. Says, do I deliver to the UAE? Yes, I can. Just go to the website jesseseahouse.com. Put in your address. It will show you the shipping. Just be aware there may be customs fees. I don't know every different country and how it works. So, thank you so much, guys. I'm going to get going. I am. I'll see you guys around. And cheers. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.